यथा वृक्षं लिबुजा समन्तं परिषस्वजे एवापरिष्वजस्व मां यथा मां कामिन्यसो यथा मन्नापगा असहा यथा सुपर्णः प्रपतन् पक्षौ निहन्ति भूम्याम् एवा निहन्मि ते मनो
Harappan civilization reached stagnation by 1500 BC. Around this time, Aryans started arriving. Aryans were pretend as nomadics of Central Asia. When population increased in Central Asia, they started to migrate to the different parts of the world. Conflict between indigenous inhabitants, who were called as Dasa and Dasyus, and Aryans began. The Aryans who migrated to India, they were called as Indo-Aryans. In the beginning, Aryans started to settle in Sapta Sindhu region, and they named it as Brahmavarta. This Brahmavarta was became the first settlement of Aryans. Brahmavarta, it means land of gods. This period, 1500 BCE to 1000 BCE, is known as early Vedic period. The history of India based on Rig Veda, which was composed during this time. So, this period is also called as Rigvedic period. Later, Aryans moved towards Gangetic valleys. The entire region was renamed as Aryavarta. Aryavarta means land of Aryans. This period between 1000 BCE and 500 BCE, where they lived in Gangetic plains, is known as later Vedic period. Vedic literature. Vedic literature are the sources of information about Aryans which are there in religious literatures like Veda. Veda, it is a Sanskrit word which means knowledge or wisdom. Vedas are religious texts composed of teachings, hymns, rituals, and poems. There are four Vedas: Rig Veda, Atharva Veda, Sama Veda, and Yajur Veda. In the beginning, these Vedas were orally handed over to generation by many centuries. Later, it got the form of writing. Brahmanas, Upanishads, Puranas, and epics are the other religious books of Aryans. These sacred books, known as Vedic literature, they tell us social, religious, economic, and political life of the people during this period. Political organization. Aryans, the tribes of Aryans used to called as Jana. Jana consisted of number of villages, and these villages were called as Gramas. Gramas consisted with many families. The head of the village is Gramini or village headman. Each tribe had own chieftain or Rajan. Rajan was selected on the base of his ability. Rajan used to assist with many assistants like Purohit and Senani. Rajan, he was not able to rule completely without consultation of Sabha and Samiti. There was no absolute power to Raja, where these Sabha and Samiti had control over the king. Samiti, large committee which consisted with many people. Even women also took part in this assembly. All can give his or her opinion to the Raja. Sabha, it is a smaller assembly where only important tribe took part to advise or guide to the king. Social life. Here it is consisted with many villages, and these villages were consisted with joint families. Grihapati, who was the eldest living male, was the head of the family. His decision was final during the time. Women position was good. Monogamy marriage system was in practice, where they have given most importance for education. We have seen many women scholars during the time. Women or a wife must be in religious ceremony. Swayamvara and no child marriage and even widow remarriage was practiced in the early Vedic civilization. Food. Simple and nutritious food like wheat, barley, maize, fruit, vegetables are their staple diet. Milk and milk product, and even though they were very fond of honey, they used some intoxicating drinks like soma and sura. Meat was eaten occasionally. Recreation. Outdoor activities like chariot racing, hunting, music, and dance, and indoor activities like dice and board games were their recreation. Their costume or dress. Early Vedic people used to wear two garments: lower garments, which was unstitched piece of cloth and tied around the waist. This unstitched piece of cloth was used to called as dhoti. Upper garment, a light shawl and turban. They were very fond of ornaments. Gold, silver, and precious stones were used during early Vedic time. Religion. Early Vedic people believed in one supreme power, creator of universe. They worshipped many god and goddesses like Indra, who was the god of rain and thunder, Agni, the god of fire, Surya, sun god, Varuna, water god, Vayu, the god of wind, Soma, the god of plants, Prithvi, the goddesses of earth, Usha, the goddesses of dawn, and Yama, the god of death. Prayer. People recited prayer in the praise of these gods for good health and for the birth of son and for cattle. Temples. Early Vedic people not built any temple. They worshipped gods in open area by chanting hymns and making offering grain, ghee, and milk. Yagas performed by Brahmanas, where entire family took part in it. Class system. Aryans grouped themselves according to their skills in performing certain jobs. Brahmanas, the priests and scholars who performed religious rites and imparted education. Kshatriya, who was a warrior who protect the tribe. Vaishyas, farmers, traders, craftspeople, and they played a vital role providing food and goods. Shudras, laborers who served the other three groups and did menial jobs. This occupation based division of society was flexible. Brahman can become Kshatriya and Kshatriya can become Brahman. But in the later Vedic period, this system became rigid. One could not change the caste one was born into. First, Aryans were nomadic. They moved from one place to another. Later, they began to settle in one particular place. Cow was very valuable and mark of wealth. Kings gifted cows to priests. They known about agriculture. Plow made of wood mentioned in Rigveda. They had knowledge on different seasons. Different artisans and craftspeople like chariot makers, weavers, leather workers, potters, metal workers we have seen in Rigvedic period. They produced weapons and other objects of copper and bronze. The villages were self-sufficient during this period.